The brakes are still good?
Oh, brakes are fantastic.
Whoa,
and the
God,
thing
whoa,
corners like a Porsche.
Oh, yeah, that.
So very little roll. Are you okay?
Yeah, that was fantastic. What's up, Lite Brite Nation?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Now, if you remember, once upon a time, we owned a Bronco Badlands with a Sasquatch package, and we hated it.
It had a lot of actual factory defects. You know, we didn't just dislike it because it wasn't a Jeep. It was because it was like a COVID build on a Friday,
At
on
4
a
o'clock,
holiday.
yeah.
It must have been paint defects, rattles, squeaks, leaking. Like, it was just terrible. It was super terrible.
The build quality on it was very subpar, and we absolutely hated it.
Right.
Off-road wise, it did
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
It did okay. But again, we're used to the stepchild, right? And a Jeep. And so we wanted something bigger. We wanted something better.
Right. So we wanted something more capable. We figured we would build that Bronco into something more capable.
Yep.
But we got it too early. Companies hadn't come out with the stuff that we wanted or needed. So we got rid of it, right? We got rid of it and we got a Raptor, which we absolutely freaking love. Absolutely love the interior, love the motor, love the trans, love the suspension. We love everything about it.
And we still love it. Even though it's nowhere built like the stepchild is, it's still one of our favorite vehicles because in general, it's on-road mannerisms, off-road capabilities, Baja high-speed capabilities. All of that is actually pretty great.
Medium speed capabilities,
Medium
I would
speed
say.
for a factory vehicle.
Yeah.
Because again, there's almost nothing available for a Bronco Raptor.
You can do collar lifts, a little bit bigger tires, but then you have to bump it out because a collar lift, guys, does give you extra height. But if you go to a bigger tire, that doesn't stop your up travel, and your bigger tire is still going to hit. So you're really limited at that 37, maybe a 38 if you're going to really use it. Some guys do a collar lift and put 39 BFGs, which really are only a 37, 38s anyway, and then they end up ripping off their flares because of that.
So ultimately, although we really do love the Bronco Raptor, it's just not what we want.
Well, we want to be able to modify it. We're modify people.
Yes, we're car enthusiasts.
We want to modify it.
We cannot leave something stock, which is why we are trading in or selling the Bronco Raptor. It's officially for sale, by the way. And we are upgrading to what, you might ask? This ugly, hideous soft top, this black car. I don't like black cars. But ultimately, we are upgrading from a Bronco Raptor to a Bronco Wildtrack.
So although this is a 2024 Bronco Wildtrack, I still dislike the interior over the Bronco Raptor. Like, the steering wheel is just a basic steering wheel. It's not the big thick wheel with the race stripe. The materials, I think, in the non-Raptor version just are cheaper feeling, and I don't really like that. Like, it's just right?
This is a hard
Like,
pill
this
to
thing only
swallow.
has 26 miles on it. We just bought it. We literally just picked it up from a Ford dealer in Vegas. And what happened was, in the past few years, there are companies who have actually made huge strides in the aftermarket performance, and starting with the Bronco Raptor is not where it's at, which is why we have a Wildtrack.
Because although the interior sucks on this Bronco Wildtrack, the interior is actually something that's relatively easy to change. What's not easy is upgrading the performance of these new Broncos. But there is one company in particular who is actually killing it in that respect, which is why we took this Wildtrack, picked it up from the dealership, put it on a trailer, and immediately brought it to APG here in California. Because that Wildtrack, although right now it might not look like an upgrade to the Bronco Raptor, but in a couple weeks, it will far surpass what we've ever thought the Bronco Raptor would be.
Now, if you're wondering why we're not starting with our Bronco Raptor, well, for one price. We paid like $115 for our Bronco Raptor.
COVID markup.
COVID
After
markup,
COVID markup.
and we wanted it right from the beginning. The new Bronco Raptors, if you're buying a new one, I think the MSRP went up to 90 grand, and that's if the dealership doesn't charge you markup. So if you can even find one at MSRP, you're still paying 90 grand. That's a lot, especially in something that we're gonna build. We're gonna take the front and rear diffs out. We're taking all the suspension out. There's no reason to start with such a high end when you're gonna trash, like literally get rid of everything that makes this Bronco Raptor what it is, plus all the electronics. This has a lot more electronics that can't really be defeated or would cause issues in everything we're wanting to do when we swap everything out. So it's just really not a good base to start with, which is why we went with the Wildtrack. Because one, 60 grand. I got it for invoice because there's so many on the lots now. You can get them for cheap. You just got to offer them a lot less than what the MSRP is and then negotiate to invoice, which is what we did. So we got this for $60,000. And I even saw one for 57 grand if you don't have the upgraded stereo and the adaptive cruise control, which I did want. And the adaptive cruise will work after the build, even with the lift and everything. They recalibrate it all. So we did that. Now, why the Wildtrack specifically is because it actually comes with the front and rear lockers, which means that you get the bigger, better transfer case. And that's going to be the most important part, is you want the stronger transfer case. Even though we're ripping the front and rear diffs out and we're going with bigger Dana stuff, it gives you the transfer case that you need. And then it doesn't have the sway bar disconnect. Ford has had a big issue with the sway bar disconnect. There's been recalls on it, there's been updates, and then once you start lifting it and getting tons of travel, it just sends the computer into a frenzy. So the new Wildtrack actually has front and rear lockers with the stronger transfer case, but no electronic sway bar disconnect, which we're gonna ditch the sway bar anyway.
Now, although the 2024 Wildtrack is the preferred starting point for the build we're sending this bad boy into, if you already have a Bronco, you can start with just about anything because they've found a workaround for all of the electronics. Because as you're about to see, APG absolutely excels when it comes to quality and attention to detail. It's the exact reason why we came here to find a rival for the stepchild. Because we'll be turning this into this. Oh my gosh. This, believe it or not, started out its life like this. This is a 2024 Wildtrack, but it's equipped and modified to essentially APG's Pro Runner build. And this thing is absolutely nasty. But I'm not gonna go over it for you because I'm gonna force George here. Say hi, George.
Hi.
I'm gonna force George to go over this with you because this is the proper and mechanically correct way to run 40s on a new Bronco and still have a ton of travel.
First and foremost, the first thing that you see is not only 40s, but these sexy ass carbon fiber fenders. like, I mean, when you see this going down the road or parked, this is the first thing you see. There's a lot of cool stuff under here.
Wow.
So yeah, like, holy crap. Like, tell me about this first, because that's what you see, right? And it looks like you're gonna fit and tuck a full 40 in there.
It's like, I'm gonna jump into all these details. I was like everybody else. I wanted to modify a car. So I went to a body kit company, I went to a bumper company, and I went to a shock company, and then the guys who make suspension parts, and then put it all together. And it's like, okay, I have my parts, but these guys didn't talk together first. They didn't build their suspension to work with this setup. So I'm like, so it's like this aftermarket world. I love it. I truly love everything about aftermarket performance with an emphasis on off-road. It's my heart, it's my passion. Like, I want everyone to feel what we feel when we get out there. It's liberating.
I've literally been here for a couple hours and I've still smiles, like all smiles about this. I'm just like, can we stop and just take that? Can we take?
We're going to. We're gonna.
Okay.
But how many times does the modification end up not what you were expecting after dropping a heavy penny? The thing is, everything you're staring at and you're complimenting all these things: the body system, the suspension system, the cycle path of the wheels and tires, the tire size, the wheel envelope opening between the bumpers, the armor. Everything was designed and engineered at the same time. So it works. Our spring rates, our shock valving, like how many guys, I want to put big tires in the car. Is it gonna clear? Like, don't worry about that. We put all that thought into that. Like, as you bog down your car with accessories and armor and things like that, you can have a car that drives great, you put a big bumper on it or something, or a winch, and then all those craps, it dives and nosedives, it corners like crap. Doesn't off-road as good.
He went through all the things that I go through. And I mean, how many days have you spent shock tuning, out in the desert shock tuning?
We have 11 trips.
Yeah.
11 trips. 11 trips to the desert.
Right.
But I can't tell you how many times just cruising around town, making small micro adjustments, adding flutter valves, changing spring rate. Because, like, you know, hitting a corner with 18 inches of wheel travel on 40-inch tall tires with semi-truck axles, sometimes you lean. You know, sometimes
I know I have a Jeep with 14-inch travel shocks and 40s, but solid axle front and rear with. I don't even run a front sway bar and only a rear. Like it's
who needs a sway bar?
It's like a stadium truck. Every time I hit the gas, it just pulls the tire off the ground. You
Yeah,
know? It's fun, but
it's fun.
It's dangerous. This is a different setup.
Hey, look, I actually come from the Jeep world. I built tons of big 1-ton Jeeps. I love it. But it's like, hey, and I'm not ever going to smash on a solid axle build. I love solid axle builds. Everything has got a purpose.
Yeah.
So it's like when you get down to a molecular level and you look at the engineering and the mechanics of a build, you stop looking at it as like Jeep or Ford, like the Chevy versus. This is a. I don't think
cool and do cool shit,
no,
or is it not cool?
Is it badass or
yeah,
not?
Yeah.
But like looking at the application for a car, the purpose built for Pro Runner is to really keep up with those big Jeep builds on 1-tons. Now I'll be the first to say, I got no problem saying it. You want to build a rock crawler? Hell, build a buggy. Put some big axles on that guy. Get 42s. Yeah, buggy. Yeah, have fun.
She has one. Yeah.
But it's like, hey, you know, you're towing places. You're not too well row-mannered. I wanted to. And I don't ever want to say me. I've got the best damn team here, guys. Like my guys, I give all the credit to them. They're just unbelievable. They're so dedicated. They're so hardworking. Okay, I'm done. But we set out to build a car that, in my opinion, and I know this is going to sound optimistic, this is the best car ever built. Hang on.
I haven't driven it yet, but like I'm excited.
Let me elaborate. This is not the fastest car in my garage. It is not the best off-roader either. It's the prettiest. It wins in the global category. There is no car that you can put. I have my 2 kids in the back seat with their 2 and 3. I have my car seats in the back. I put my dogs, my wife. We go to dinner in this car. We drive at 80 on the freeway. We take it to the movies. This is a car that succeeds in all of those individual categories better than any other car. Now that's why it's the first car I choose to drive. I have a lot of cars. Right? I love cars. I'm a car guy, like you. It's what we do. We have a big garage.
We have a lot, but you can also leave the highway 80 miles an hour right into the desert.
In the desert, not towing places. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like finding something that does amazing in all those categories and still well row-mannered. That's the car I pick to drive every single time, and that's why I say it's the best car. I love it. I love everything about this car.
And can we give them a little sneak? So you say it's not the fastest or that fast because these are 2.7 turbos. And they make okay power, but there could be a V8 in the works in the future.
He's got me on camera saying that. I will say, like Bronco community, we have heard you loud and clear. Dad always said this. There's no replacement for displacement. That is hardcore facts.
Right.
And a bit of a background, power versus traction in an off-road environment. You're rumbling up a hill, that's one thing. But you're out cruising, you're hitting the desert, you're in the whoops. Like how much power do you need versus traction? When we tune these engines, downpipes, intakes, exhaust, calibration tools, 538 gearing, they actually pack a great punch. So we've been battling, oh, it doesn't have a V8 in it. Like, I get it. Trust me, I love big engines. Like, who doesn't? I'm a guy.
Right.
Like, but these things haul ass.
Yeah.
With that being said,
well, with the proper suspension, you don't need as much motor. You really don't.
You don't, because the tires stay down.
Right. Like with the proper suspension, you can keep your speed up through the stuff. Now, this is still going to rock crawl, and well, we're pretty sure it's going to rock crawl because I'm going to test it. When mine's done, like I'm going to test it.
Please do.
Okay.
What is the first thing I told you?
Yeah.
I want you guys to beat the beep out of this car because I drive with a heavy foot. I actually tell my customers safely, go have fun. I'll never tell someone, hey, take it easy on the corners. That's not consumer confidence. Go beat the car because we put the work in.
It's been like 5 minutes. We haven't even talked about what's done to this.
This is what happens when you put a bunch of car enthusiasts.
Okay, look.
And keep in mind, this is after the 3+ hours before this video started that we all were talking about all of the same things anyway.
But this is the fun thing. This is how passionate he is, and this is why we're here. Because honestly, we got rid of our first Bronco, and then we got a Raptor, and I was like, this thing's great if I'm going to leave it stock, but I don't want to leave it stock, and I'm not going to slap. I love your body. I love the body kit, and I know we can put it on the Raptor, but I want more. It doesn't have enough suspension, and it doesn't have all that, which is really why we're here. But the passion I heard him telling, because I called and we were talking, and just the passion that he had for it and everything that he's gone through, I'm like, oh, this guy gets it. Suspension tuning is just as important as engine tuning.
Yep. This is someone who's gonna make sure that the product that leaves their shop is nothing short of perfection. Like, this is someone who takes absolute pride in their work.
Thank you.
Which is another reason that we brought this pathetic little thing here, because when we want it to leave, we want it, like I said, to be a rival to the stepchild.
You guys had a Bronco, all right? You guys grew out of that Bronco pretty quick. You guys had what was the model you guys had?
Badlands Sasquatch. That's supposed to be that was the best of the best.
Yeah, you guys grew out of that. All right, got a Raptor now. Hey, I'll tell you this. Ford, unbelievable with their off-road trims. Yep. Like I think the Raptor's awesome, but
and 37s from the
37s
factory is
from
pretty,
factory.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah,
but
you ran out of car already.
Yeah, I mean I did.
So, but you definitely didn't run out of talent. I saw you drive, dude. So it's like, hey, it's all about elevation, finding the best of the best. And if you want the best of the best, I'll just say it. This absolutely spanks your Raptor. Everything about it, not just the look and the stance, but the performance of it. So like, I'm gonna kind of run down the performance. If anybody has seen any of my videos and you guys seen our build walkarounds, we get really deep into the details. But I want to quickly kind of run down everything that's happening here. Big number stuff, right? Let's start with axles. Dana 60, ultimate Dana 60 semi-float with dual taper bearings in the back. Advan 44 up front with iron housings. It's got RCV 32 spline connecting half shafts. Bulletproof stuff. That's really the best you want. So strong axles is what's going to protect you out there wheeling with big tires. Approach angle, high centering, departure angle, ground clearance, wheel travel, suspension and like vertical travel as well as articulated travel. This is performance off-road, and then doing it correctly. Having your weights and your balance is correct, but having your wheel travel is important. So let's get into numbers, okay? Right now we've got a 40-inch tall tire. You guys see those big shock towers in there? That's why we have best-in-class travel numbers. On a 38-inch tall tire, you've got 18 inches of usable front wheel travel. On a 40, we need to limit a couple of inches because that 40 is just going to go straight into the frame underneath this. But still, 15 to 16 inches of wheel travel on a 40 is tuned correctly is more than you're ever going to need. Back wheel travel. If you kind of peek inside of that wheel well, you'll see that we've raised that shock tower up just under a foot. That's allowing us to put a 14-inch coilover in the back. That's what you see on those big Jeep builds, right?
Yeah, we will have a 14-inch coilovers.
Yeah, heck yeah. So just, having a big long shock back there is going to allow you to get that wheel travel. So if you were to take like an arc line and draw it out, overall wheel travel in the back of our Bronco is just shy of 17. Like kind of componentry involved in the front end, raise and reinforced double shock towers, double adjustable upper control arms, bulletproof 74 weld steering rack, bulletproof APG heavy duty tie rods. We have double shear options, box construction lower control arms, just everything gusseted and reinforced. We're running a 3-inch diameter, 8-inch long stroke, internal bypass king shock with long fin remote compression reservoirs. We've got threaded adjustable 2.0 bump stops. We also have a 32 bypass that just gets you so much more controllability for the high speed stuff. We've got about a 76-inch wide wheel mount surface. So overall, we're about just under 4 inches of increased width per side via suspension. Then with, aftermarket wheel offsets and these big fat tires, right? That's what's bringing us just about 90 inches overall width.
That's gonna be so sick.
Outer tire, like those little new car little beads, those little guys. My kids are always picking those things off.
Yeah.
Just about 90 inches width right there. But kind of looking at the bodies, people might think, oh, that's why. What about the narrow trails? Like I get it. That's why we developed our body system to allow for that wheel travel and have different flare options. So if you look at like a Wildtrack, right here, this line. This would be the width of a regular Wildtrack outside of the plastic flare. So we're not really adding much width to the body. So this is outfitted with a 1-inch flare that just gives you that 4.5 inches, that 4 inches of tire poke. I like that. I like the aggressive look. But if you want more tire coverage, put a 3-inch. We have the same flare available in a 3-inch or a 5-inch, which kind of shows you that.
You see the 3-inch one over there? Also on that yellow one. They're pretty sick. Kevin and I are already arguing about whether he wants the 1-inch, I want the 3-inch.
Of course she wants the bigger one. Should I tell her that they even make a 5 or 6-inch? You guys do make a 5-inch, right?
I believe we can custom fabricate a really large one.
Speaking my language.
Yeah, you guys will see this big old behemoth of a bumper. ADD makes a fantastic product. This customer wanted big, heavy armor up front. He wanted a big Xeon 12 winch with big fat lights up top.
Those LP6s are my favorite.
I love them
I will
too.
say those LP6s are my
Especially
favorite.
with that backlight function. It's kind of fun. You're cruising down the ride. We did it correct. If somebody wants it, right? We're gonna relocate the adaptive cruise control. We're gonna move the camera up front of the bull bar. We're gonna get all the sensors working. You know, typically we don't run a big heavy bumper in the front. We just, you know, there's a lot of restricted airflow. There's a lot
Let's show them what you do make.
Yeah, I'm typically basic. I like Ford's modular HD front bumper. It's a great bumper. It's honestly one of the best front bumpers ever built. It's lightweight. It has all the airflow, has accessory mounts everywhere, and it works. You know, it's not the strongest bumper, but it still passes crash testing by Ford standards, so fantastic. But
The rear bumper is absolute crap, though. The rear bumper is the worst thing I've ever. It's paper.
Right off.
Yeah, it's really paper.
We've proven that.
So what we want to show you on this is he actually makes this wing piece here. This is part of it. So you're going to keep the factory Ford bumper. He has this extra winglet that's going to house.
It's gonna house
the lights.
any lights that work with like your factory bumper. It'll work with that cap. We just have that cap for tire clearance and to flow with the side of the body.
Right.
You got to zoom in on the side so it flows.
So the attention to detail is you have the whole wide body here, but there's even a little winglet here to make sure that it ends all the way here, and then the flare still ends right here at the freaking bumper.
This is the 3-inch one,
This
by
is
the way.
the 3-inch one. Yeah, I like the 3-inch too.
That's what I said.
I think the 1-inch is cleaner.
I want to
but
see the 5-inch though.
It shows more carbon.
It does show more.
You don't want to see the 5-inch. No one likes the 5-inch.
Now, some of you might also recognize this because this is a rock slider from Next Venture Motorsports with UHMW on the bottom. This is the same slider that we actually run on the Stepchild and the Raptor currently, but this is a new addition, which is pretty sick. And if you look back here, we've got this little guy. Again, it's just that attention to detail. Everything just flows so freaking nicely.
If you're gonna do something, do it right. Right? You guys spoke about the passion and the detail. Like this guy, he's like, George, just like go with it. I want you to deliver, just kind of do your best, right? So detail is not just there. You kind of notice some small parts of it. Like come check out this rear bumper setup. So you guys have seen our Expedition 1/APG collab rear bumper. We use these things pretty much on every build with a big heavy tire. The factory tailgate cannot support 150 pounds of mass on the tailgate, not even with the reinforcement kits. So it has to mount down to this huge spindle that sits on the bumper. It's all frame, it's all steel construction, bolts directly to the chassis, so you know it's very strong. We anodized the cap and the shackles just to kind of follow that. You know, some guy wants it to look good. It's functional, but also looks cool. There's nothing wrong with it. Big old 40, not really hanging on the tailgate at all. The tailgate just acts as a guide. Single stage operation. You open it up. Then you get the crap you got to get inside. Super happy with this bumper setup. It's strong, it's gorgeous, houses lights, chase lights. It just works. A lot of people have been faced with the same thing we were faced when we were developing for Bronco. Where do you put a winch in the front? It's just, there's nowhere good to put it. It blocks airflow.
Well, I don't want to lose my approach angle.
No, exactly.
Right? I don't want to lose approach angle, so I didn't want to put it there. And this was always my thought. And then you guys came out with this before I could.
In the design process, I didn't make a front bumper because I couldn't make a better one than Ford. And then I said, I need one in the rear because I knew I was going to drag just like you did on that rock. You always see those big pre-runner guys in the desert. They're always holding 2 spares in the back. They don't pop that many tires, right? They're doing it to counter motor weight, right? They want that front to rear balance. I run a big spare. I've never needed it, but I have one if I need it, right? But I've never needed it. But I run it when I'm driving fast because it just helps counter that weight. The winch is kind of doing that same thing.
Yeah, so it keeps the back end, the weight back here keeps the back end from bucking on high stuff. And then he also has the winch underneath in the back here as well, which just adds some more weight to the back.
Adds a bit more weight back there. But it's totally tucked out of the way. It even acts as a skid plate. Some of you guys may bash your muffler on there, but it doubles as a skid plate. We've got some custom exhaust routing down there. Now, as you guys are on the camera saying, oh, look at that big exhaust pipe. It's going to hit it on our rocks.
We would definitely hit that on the rocks.
Yeah.
But
so this one is just outfitted with a bit of a street tip on it. We have a whole rear section that just kind of unbolts with a band clamp. It's got a basher tip on there. It tucks up out of the way. You're not going to hit it.
that's what we'll be getting.
Yeah, you'll definitely be getting that one as soon as you guys drive. But yeah, rear bumper.
And then going back to attention to detail too, you see here, we've got UHMW on that lower shock bracket right there. We also have UHMW here on this lower long arm bracket. And of course, the Next Venture Motorsports skid plates too, also equipped with UHMW. If you don't know what UHMW is, you haven't watched enough of our videos, because this stuff is absolutely incredible. And if you've noticed the way they've designed it, so that you're dragging on this, that rock transfers right over to this, and it's just slick as heck. So ideally, and again, this is just a round arm as well, so traction wise underneath, even when you're dragging on rocks, you should have the least resistance possible. But the most important part, we've shown you a bunch. This is like, as long as this video is probably gonna end up being, this is all the generalized stuff. When our Bronco is fully done, we'll get really into the nitty gritty of what all really went into this build, because it's just absolutely insane. But more importantly than what goes into it is how does it perform. We're gonna go for a ride in his personal Pro Runner Bronco build.
Let's do this. I'm so excited. So semi-truck axles, tractor tires, long travel suspension, huge build like this, but full OEM functionality. You're gonna get in your car and everything that worked from the factory, from your goat modes down here, your selectable lockers, if you have a disconnected sway bar, all of that still works. It's fully retained.
And you got no warnings other than
I got low gas.
Than your low fuel level.
Your wife must have been driving. As big as this is lifted right now, and all the things that are done, to have no warning signs on anything and everything still worked perfectly fine is a feat in itself.
Yeah.
So he said the axles had 538 gears in them, and then it has the Ford Performance tune and exhaust. So there's no intake, no intercooler, nothing like that, which I would assume in the heat and beating it up outside, an intercooler might help some, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, all these little performance additions to these cars, they help like incrementally. Incrementally, that's a funny word. Incrementally. They help in their ways, but one of the things that we hear, like I was saying, is like big tires, heavy mass, but if you gear it correctly and you kind of make up that lost power, this is not a slow car. It has pick. It's not a race car.
Oh yeah, but, I mean, it gets you into traffic.
You hit these little divots. You would typically kind of slow down.
Oh yeah.
Even small, navigating through town, pulling into a driveway, going over a speed bump, going in a parking
lot. Yeah, the wincing, like
yeah.
You're waiting for it. Yeah, no.
What did you call this earlier? You said it was urban
off-roading.
Urban off-roading. So obviously we're not taking it off-roading yet. You'll have to wait when we get ours done for us to go beat the crap out of it off-road.
Yeah.
But this is just kind of a tidbit, sneak peek at what it can do and how it feels.
Yeah, there's a spot back there I call the Garden Grove whoops. Chase, that's for you. But there was trucks there blocking it, and because we have
the brakes are still good.
Oh, brakes are fantastic.
Whoa,
and the thing corners like a Porsche.
Oh yeah, that.
So very little roll. Are you okay?
Yeah, that was fantastic. I was a little scared because I was like, that's a red light.
I was like, I did not see the red light. He took a right instead of going through the red light.
But it's like that's why I love driving this car every day. It's a great driver. It doesn't wander. It's a fucking thing. It's got it all.
I just saw that car bounce over these railroad tracks. It literally was like boom, boom, boom.
So I'm gonna try to wait to time this correctly. We're in a closed course in Mexico right now. We would never do this.
Oh, yeah. Crap! The divot in this light.
Oh.
Oh, we're sending it.
Oh, we're sending it. Oh.
That was so good.
I cannot wait till you go to the desert, go to the mountains. This is all we have here. We have a couple curves.
I might have to take the stepchild to go get more shock tuning.
I say even in the stepchild is incredible. Like, it is incredible, but it is still a solid axle. So the on-road mannerisms just aren't the same as an IFS.
So you said something earlier about the new Wildtrack not having the sway bar disconnect. So does that mean we're just going to remove the front sway bar completely from our system? We're just not. We don't even need it.
Who needs a sway bar?
Popping off curbs. That's so sick.
Oh yeah. I wish I had more.
Mexico's pretty.
Don't do it. This is my lane. It's just.
Jeez. We were in Cali when we left the shop, but we drove to Mexico because it's so close.
Yeah, it's
like,
rest.
Yeah.
So I'm driving. I've got all my functionality, and I'm driving on the highway at 80 plus miles an hour, and I'm not fighting the steering wheel. It just drives like a factory. It's well road mannered is the term that I use.
I will tell you, if we did a Raptor and hit that at that speed limit,
You would've launched.
it would have caught air
Yeah.
and blown through the shocks.
Yeah. And we didn't even use 30% of what it had.
No.
But, hey, look at that. That's the main guy from King.
Is it?
Yeah, that's my sales. That's my guy from King. Hey, you know where King Shocks is?
Just a little bit, yeah.
He was probably going to lunch because this is King Shocks headquarters. This is where they're all made, right here.
Oh, there they are.
They're my neighbor.
Right down
They
the
are
street.
your neighbor.
Yeah, they're my neighbor.
Speaking of lunch, we should get some food.
Let's eat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I mean, anywhere. You got a little Mexican hole-in-the-wall shop or a little...
Oh yeah, I got a hole in the wall Mexican, but I don't want you guys to get sick.
Oh, well, I normally don't. It's just a taste.
Well, this is very hole in the wall, and they don't close the hole in the wall at the end of the day.
Oh, so it just stays open. I mean, we're in Mexico, so I
Yeah,
figured-
of course. Yeah, you never know.
We just popped up to Central Cali again to show the King, and then
Yeah.
we're back in Mexico now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, earlier you guys heard me talk about how APG just absolutely excels when it comes to quality and attention to detail. I told you, but now I actually want to show you.
A little bit about me and my background. You know, I've been building custom cars for over a decade. We actually started in commercial manufacturing. I've got a big background on engineering and manufacturing, and I always wanted to find a way to take all this knowledge that I've inherited from my past generations, my dad, my grandpa, and bring it into the performance aftermarket off-road industry. So like with that being said, I want to show you guys what I always call and joke out as like Santa's workshop. It's our custom composite shop here. The reason you guys like the way the cars look, you know the quality's there, everything is just kind of pops and it's got all that detail. It's because we're actually making all of our parts from raw materials. So inside of this shop here, it's got about 8,000 square feet right here. This is our low volume, high quality composite shop. Our parts are all made by hand. There's no mass production that's being done here. We are a carbon fiber specialist company. Now, what you can't see right now is the background, the design, the engineering, the tooling, all the digital CNC and CAD work that was done. But once we're kind of through that, we get into making the parts. How our parts are made. We are a vacuum infusion shop. Every part is hand laminated, hand templated, carefully, meticulously crafted and placed into these tools. And this allows us to control the material thickness, the bulking of the product, and the aesthetics. A lot of our customers want these exposed carbon fiber parts. And carbon is something that's a structural fabric, but it's also beauty. You see a lot of the supercar manufacturers using it, and you know, following that same suit, we use it for the beauty, but also the strength. You guys are out there running in the desert, rock crawling, jumping, having fun. You know, a low quality body panel, like some of the traditional fiberglass that you may see out there, can crack, it'll warp in the sun, it'll chip, and it won't hold that perfect cosmetic post bodywork production and paint. We're gonna get into a bit of the manufacturing process, but know that we make our parts the same way a supercar manufacturer makes their parts. High temp epoxy infusion, hand laminated, vacuum bagged, and post cured in our oven for 24 hours at 300 degrees. This is how the pros do it. You know, I used to build the cars with other companies' body systems, and the amount of body work we had to put into that to get it to work, to fit right, it was crazy. And even when we did get it fitted and we got it looking like it should, it wouldn't survive the trails. So I knew we had to take a different approach to our composite manufacturing process. I mean, just right behind me right now, we're bagging just one of the 31 parts that make up that body system. The engineering and the science behind it all, we've got that all figured out. You know, we've got guys, we've never actually done some behind the scenes stuff like this, but you can kind of see for yourself, this is the real deal. And just right here behind me, guys, has a 20-foot tall JPW curing chamber. Something that's really important to us is not just creating like a strong part or a light part, but a thermally stable part. You don't believe it, but like a black car in the desert, in the middle of summer, you touch that, that's over 200 degrees. So if you don't have a part that's thermally stable above that temperature, it'll warp. Think of ask your average surfer. Do they ever leave their surfboard in the sun after they come out of the beach? They don't do that. It's gonna warp, it's gonna change shape, and we don't want that to a car you're supposed to park in the sun and you're supposed to beat up. Like, we want you guys to beat the crap out of these cars because they're built to withstand it. The question we get asked a lot is like, why? Like, why are we making such high quality body systems for a Ford Bronco. We don't want the customers to have the issues that we've seen, the warping, the cracking, the transformation of shape, especially when you're off-roading, the gel coat cracking. We don't want that. This is a fiberglass wet laid product. And this was actually made by us pretty good, but this is a product made for following a set of manufacturing processes that we see in off-road racing, like skinning a race car for a 6-hour race that 20 minutes after the podium pictures, they've already ran into each other, and these temporary skins are laying on the desert floor to be picked up by a crew later. But if you want to build like a high-end car, you want it to last. You want the paint, the refinishing, the flattening. You want it to last just like an automotive body panel would. So in order to do that, you need a higher quality panel. Now, guys are asking themselves, well, why am I talking about fiberglass? It's because I have to compare my product, why we make parts the way that we do. Now, you guys have seen these little pinholes and you've seen all the air bubbles in there. There's thousands of them. And the reason sometimes the body shop won't fix that is because they hide them. They hide them in somewhat of a surface coat. First thing they're gonna do is they're gonna spray the surface coat in, and then they're gonna start rolling some resin and some fabric in there, and it's an uncontrolled process. But really what they're doing is they're hiding those defects. So when you hide the defects, the body shop can't fix them. The body shop can't see them or fix them. It'll come out a couple months into use of the car. That's the main reason that we make parts that way.
So coming from drifting and trucks before that, we would buy fenders, we'd buy over fenders, and nothing was this thick. Yeah. They were all super thin, and you blow out one tire or one guy touches you, the whole thing cracks. There goes your paint job, there goes all your stickers, whatever it is. We used it as like a consumable, but they were super cheap. But even if I didn't wreck it or I didn't do it, they still, just the vibrations, it never lasted.
And again, not to mention the hours and hours and hours of fitment.
That's the other thing.
Had to try to
so you get a quarter panel and you put it on and it doesn't fit. You are literally shaving, you've got fiberglass dust everywhere. I mean, we're talking like hours and hours and hours per panel. And this is us doing it to a race car where we didn't care. If you're doing it to a street car where you do care, like a show car, you're probably going to spend anywhere from probably $4,000 to $7,000 on a proper body shop doing body work, or this guy does it so it just bolts on and there is no body work.
There's none. No. I'm not going to bash on these guys. All the other fiberglass, the body shop guys, they make a product for a reason. Some people are going to say, well, I don't want a perfect panel. I'm going to beat the crap out of it. Fair argument. But like, if you want a quality panel, a quality body system that'll last and withstand the torsional the twist of a car, the shaking in the desert, beating the crap out of it, this will last. None of us are going to intentionally try to break our body system. Like, oh hey, look, a rock. Let me go hit it. No product should self-degrade. It shouldn't self-destruct by itself. Just driving and off-roading. If you impact something, yeah, you're going to scratch your paint. If you hit a mountain, it's going to scratch. There's so much more into it. And for like people, your customers, let's say someone's going to watch this video. Like, have any of you guys ever like got a cheap body kit and like took it to a body shop? They don't even want to talk to you. They are so angry.
Nothing fits. The bumpers don't fit. They don't line up to the fenders. And you can buy a full body kit. Bumpers, front fenders, rear quarter. They don't even line up to themselves.
Left and right.
And the trim on this is actually really good. Generally,
we made this as a sample.
Generally, there's all this over extra with resin with no fiberglass or fiberglass with no resin, and you've got a trim. And then the holes aren't even in the right spot, or there's no holes at all, and you have to drill it. And then you drill it, and it cracks, and it just...
So I suppose this clip is kind of for the guys out there that self-install the fiberglass body kit. I feel your pain. Yeah. Saying something is one thing, but like showing is another, right? You guys have seen behind the scene, but the car you're looking at right here, this is like a rough fit. Before we build the car, before obviously we're going to get in any priming and blocking or anything like that, edging things out, we rough fit everything just to make sure everything's right. There was no issues that happened in the past. So this panel system right now is direct raw carbon. The flare, the chin, the fender, everything. This is exactly how it came out of our mold. Obviously trim the perimeters and drill the attachment points, but just look at the fitment. You'd see some green or white or gray Bondo or something in there. Everything is sitting exactly how it's supposed to with little to no body work. This isn't a stamped metal part, right? It's still a handmade component. There's a little bit of work that has to get done. You have to clean and scuff the surface and prime it, get it, you bought standard paint refinishing stuff, but no corrective work. And just follow along with the, follow along the video, look at the edges, look at the gaps.
Look at the edges here. I mean, It's
how perfect.
now there's the limb risers that go here, so this isn't this is supposed to be here. There's
Those
those
go
plastic
later on final
yeah,
assembly.
Yeah.
but
Little
yeah.
hood handle guys here, but look at literally the gap is perfect everywhere that you look. Like that, I've never had a body kit ever look that good. Straight, like just straight bolted on.
I used to say this thing like you actually don't like if somebody wanted to wrap their car or like a company project where he wanted to wrap the whole car in his logos and brands. I'm like, he didn't paint it. We actually bolted the kit on there in a couple of hours, and he took it to a wrap shop, and it was done, and that's what we decided to do. But obviously, we offer full painting, you know, kind of bringing back that OEM color or custom colors, whatever you want to do. And we do this all under one roof, so that allows us to kind of control that quality, not just in the manufacturing of the parts, but all the way up to refinishing, painting, and then installation to the car.
So I know ultimately we covered a lot in this video, while at the same time
Not
covering nearly enough. But for now, I honestly think this is a good place to like close this video out and just call it a day, because the next time you see this, it will look kinda sorta like this, but not quite.
Yeah, ours is going to be a bit different.
Ours is going to be a bit different. You can guess in the comments if you'd like what you think will be different about it, because we have a few special things in store. A few little extra icing on top, cherries on top, sort of thing. But guys, let us know what you think.
Dude, this is sick. This is so sick.
We're trying to maintain our excitement, but when you watch this video, your wait time for this being done will not be very long. Right now, our wait time
It's a long time.
is going to be quite a bit of time, but we're stoked. We're excited to share this with you guys, and more importantly, we're excited to get the final form of this vehicle out on the trails. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember, you can find all of your Lite Nation merch and decals at litebreakstudios.com. As always, we love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye. My hair.
Hold on.
Diapers?
Oh, diapers. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
This is why guys are better than women.
Hair.
Guys are better than
Can't-
girls.
I can't do this. I can't.
10 minutes trying to film this with her, but if I do it, it'll be just done.
God, the wind's not cooperating.
It's not, but like, do you
All
want me
right,
to do it?
Nope, I got it. All right, ready?